Reading 86 from the Psychological Commentaries on the Teaching of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky by Dr. Maurice Nicoll, Volume 3, Great Animal House, July 12, 1947. Aim. In speaking about aim and having aim in this work, it was said on one occasion that there are three kinds of aim. First, there are invented aims. An invented aim has no practical meaning. A man, for example, might make it his aim to count the numbers of words, beginning with the letter R in the Bible. And not only that, but he might seriously think that this would be a work aim, and would make it possible for him to become more conscious. Second, there are imaginary aims. An imaginary aim is based on imagination about oneself. A person, for example, who imagines he is a good, kind man, makes it his aim to be still more good and kind. That is, he starts from a picture of himself, and all pictures of ourselves are formed out of the imagination. Again, imaginary aim necessarily goes with imaginary work on oneself. People may imagine they observe themselves and work on themselves, and it is all imagination. Actually, they neither observe themselves nor work on themselves. Third, there are real aims. There is only one possible source of real aim. Real aim must grow out of one's own self-study in relation to the instructions given by this work. If a man studies himself along the lines laid down in the work, he will eventually begin to catch sight of what his real, individual aim must be. Remember that one man's aim is not another's in the work. Although the method of self-study is the same for all in the work, it is clear that a number one man, whose center of gravity lies in the instinctive or moving center, will have to work on himself differently from a number three man, whose center of gravity lies in the intellectual center. Each, to become balanced, so that all centers can be equally used, will seem to move, as it were, in an opposite direction. But the supreme aim of the work, to awaken, will be the same for each of them. At first, invented aims are necessary in order to see how difficult it is to keep them, and how mechanical we are without realizing it. For instance, a man decides not to sit down until 6 o'clock. Of course, this is merely an invented aim, but in trying to keep it, he will observe how many different and contradictory voices speak in him, and he will begin to realize that he is not one eye, but many eyes, and many other things that the work teaches him, which he has not yet realized in practical experience. For if a man, a woman, do not apply the work to themselves, they never advance an inch, and quite naturally. To experience and so begin to understand this work, self-observation is absolutely necessary. Invented aim is an artificial aid to self-observation in the early stages. Imaginary aim is useless unless one can observe it and see how absurd it is in comparison with the direct knowledge of oneself, gained by uncritical self-observation, and the special, quiet memory that is formed in consequence. Real aim, as was said, grows out of one's own study of oneself. It changes at different stages of the work, for what has been done, it is no longer necessary to do. Each stage opens a further stage, as in the case of a journey. So real aim changes, but some things remain. A man, for example, must always remember himself, although his way of doing so may change. At first, by self-observation, he realizes he does not remember himself, and realizing all that the work says about the necessity of reaching the third state of consciousness, where only help can reach us, his aim becomes that of trying to find out for himself what self-remembering is. This arises out of his self-study by observation, for he has seen he is asleep and does not remember himself. This is real aim, because it is based upon what the work teaches and upon what he has seen for himself in the light of the work and the insight it gives. In that case, that man may expect a result, but a man who makes always invented aims that have no relation to what he needs to awaken cannot expect any result. He does not know how to ask, and unless we know how to ask, we cannot receive. When we begin to notice what puts us asleep, we are nearer the possibility of asking aright. That is, making real aim. For aim is really request to which we desire response.